Hi guys, it's Nimstacker and I'm back with you today for a very special video of some coins that arrived today. In fact, two lots of coins arrived. So this is part A and part B is to follow probably sometime at the weekend. Sovereigns. Sovereigns are a very serious subject by a number of people. And this package was sent to me by somebody for whom sovereigns are a very serious subject. He collects sovereigns, and I think what he would like to have is every single sovereign, every single mint, every single year, all in the most perfectly beautiful, exquisite condition. And as you can see from these coins when I unbox them, he is well on his way to achieving this objective and is a shining example for all of you stackers on what can be achieved with a very, very special coin that's priced only a little bit more than bullion. And if you're a little bit discriminating and hunt for the very, very, very best examples and then collect them systematically over a period of time, this just shows what you can do. This first box is all about Victoria, all the different heads of Victoria, all the different permutations, and there's one half sovereign, but most of them are full sovereigns from Australia, covering the Melbourne and Sydney mints and the Perth mint, also Canada, also Great Britain, India, South Africa. This is just an amazing collection. And some of these are pretty rare as well. And there are quite a few varieties in here. There is such a rich history of varieties. This particular one is an amazing variety, very, very rare. This one is a Jubilee head sovereign with what's called a hooked J of the JEB, who was the engraver of the Jubilee head. There are two here, in fact, with a small spread JEB variety. These are, I think, rare 3 and rare 4 in Marsh's The Gold Sovereign book, and I'll show you a little bit about that in a second. I think one of them from Melbourne has, or maybe it's Sydney, one of them has a mintage of 300,000, the other one has a mintage of 200 and something thousand, but there are very, very few of these, and I think they've got a value of $1,200-$1,300 each compared to the bullion value, which is around about $350. So here they are, all the different varieties. So Jubilee head sovereigns, Sydney mint, and you can see here number 138 hook JEB R3 mintage 310,000. So, you know, compared to the ordinary ones, some of these varieties are very, very difficult to locate. And this is one of the things that makes sovereign collecting such a pure pleasure for those of you who like kind of pouring through with a magnifying glass and finding different varieties. And one thing that you will notice as we drift through this video, and please be prepared for the long haul because these videos are not my usual 5-minute videos. They are much longer because there is so many amazing coins to see. I don't think I've ever seen so many beautiful sovereigns in one place, in one delivery, ever before in my life. And each of these coins, I mean, just look at the detail. It's like this guy has his own private sovereign minting machine in his basement, and he's just, you know, pressing the button and churning them out because they all look exactly like the day that they were minted, which is just absolutely amazing. You know, I suspect that these gradings of this particular collection of sovereigns is going to add a lot to the top end of NGC's sovereign grading in their census. I think that some of these coins look good enough to me to get, you know, right to the top of the census right to the top of the grading, and surely there must be some 65s, 66s, and 67s in this lot of coins somewhere. They just all look great, NGC will take a look at them in under a magnifier, and it may be that there are a few bag marks and a few kind of little scuffs to the fields that may mark a couple of these coins down, but just look at the detail. Look at the detail on Vicky's hair and the banding on her hair. I mean, compared to what you normally see available on eBay or some of these kind of places, or a random sovereign, these are so much better than average. It's beyond belief, really. So I'm enjoying this. I had a great time in the office today, just kind of going through all of these coins. I mean, every single one of them. Look at the luster on that. Look at the banding on Vicky's head. I mean, all of them. What a great collection of coins. And you've got a lot here from Sydney, a lot from Melbourne, a lot from Perth. The ones from Sydney have the little S on. You can see on the shields, you have the little S just underneath the shield for the Sydney ones, the M for Melbourne. If it's got a number on, it's always minted in London. It's a die number sovereign, and you'll find quite a few of those around as well. Some years had St George and shields minted, and usually the shields are a little bit more desirable, but the St George's are also pretty good. There's another variation, Portrait 2 on that one. I need to look up the Portrait 2 and see exactly what that variation is, but I mean, look at the detail on that. Fabulous. NGC charge an extra $15 to look up a variation. So if ever you think you've got a coin that does have one of these variants, there may not be very many listed with that variant at NGC, and it can raise the coin's value quite a bit by paying the $15 and having it listed with a particular variant. So it's authenticated by NGC as part of the grading process. So what have we got next out of the box? I like the way this guy has packaged everything up. It's all make sure it's all nice and soft and nothing can get damaged. A lot of care has gone into packaging this up, as well as probably a whole roll of kitchen paper. Leading on to the next one, the 1880 8/7. It's actually the 8/70 it's called, because the overdate is actually on the second 8 on this one, and if it wasn't known as the 70, you wouldn't know which 8 it was necessarily. There was the overdate on it. So there you go. I'm kind of zoom in. So 1880, you can't actually see the overdate very easily. It's visible probably under a magnifying glass or electron microscope or something like that, but the idea is that it is a known variation, an overdate variation, 8/7. See if we can see it any better if we get close up to it. I mean, you just see how crisp those letters are. This is such a nice coin. Now, I mean, I don't know whether you can tell me whether you can see it a bit more clearly. I'm sure that it is there and it is an overdate, but I think I'd need to take a look with a magnifying glass to actually see it properly. (1876) St George sovereign from Melbourne in Australia. And every single one of these is just such great condition. I really need to find out where this guy buys his sovereigns from, because clearly I am buying mine in absolutely the wrong place, because I never seem to get coins that are anywhere close to as good as this. Maybe I just don't pay enough to get them, but these are great, and all the ones I see in this condition on eBay just end up going for way, way too high, beyond my budget, really. I don't know what you guys think is the best Victorian head. There's a whole variety of coins. Young head is my personal preference. And then you've got the veiled head or the old head, and then the Jubilee head. The Jubilee head was fairly short-lived, but there are lots of Jubilee head varieties, so people enjoy collecting the Jubilee head because it's fun to collect all the different types that there are. And in fact, shields, there's a lot of varieties as well. I probably should try and find a few more of the shield varieties and stuff like that. Like there's a narrow shield variety which is very rare. There's the Ansel shield back, which was made of a slightly different, supposedly harder alloy. This one is quite interesting. This is a variety called the long tail. So you can see here on the left hand side you've got the tail almost stretches down to the base. On the right hand side is the regular placing of the tail, so you can see the difference. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So the long tail and short tail varieties. Then we've got the die number shield back. So this is a Great Britain London Mint die number 4, and you can see with the die number is on the shield side, just where the mint mark normally is. There's the die number. And there's a lot of people out there who just collect all the different possible die numbers in a collection. It makes quite a nice little focus for a collection in its own right. It's another shield back, another beautiful condition coin. I'm so interested in seeing what these coins are going to grade. You know, I think that there could be some really good surprises in the grading, positive surprises, and some of them have such great presentation as well that there might be some pluses or stars even in some of these shield backs. Or the St George's. 1857, nice early shield back. It may be early, but just look at that condition. The condition is superb. I will certainly be very happy to have a few of these coins in my sovereign collection any day. I mean, just look at that. Yeah, I definitely think the young head is the one that I prefer out of all of the Victorian sovereigns. I don't mind the other two, and I think probably most Victorian sovereigns are probably a little bit more collectible than some of the later ones. Although, you know, there's a lot of people now looking at Edward VII and George V, and I think that as it gets more and more, you know, historically a long time ago, I think that, you know, whilst they were the poor relation, I think that you know, sovereign collectors, I think, are now looking out for that. This one is the WW Encoused WW. The WW stands for William Wyon, who was the engraver of the young head bust. And some of them have a raised WW, and some of them have an encoused WW. So the encoused one is dug in, and you know, and the raised one is, as it says on the box, a little bit raised. (1847), which is getting closer to the Holy Grail year of 1841. In fact, the three great years are 1838, 1839 and 1841. I haven't got any of those in my collection. The 41s there are very, very few of, and they change hands for between, I guess, £10,000 and £25,000, depending on condition. 38s, One went at the DNW auction for about £1,100–1,200, but it wasn't in spectacular condition. It was pretty worn. But I think a good 38 or 39 is going to be, £2,500 to £4,000. Here's the old queen, the veiled head. I've got a few of those. I mean, they're not bad. They're quite nice, but I prefer the slightly older ones, particularly in good condition. 1898 M for Melbourne. Another veiled head. There were quite a few, 6 or 7 veiled heads. You may be thinking, how many sovereigns were in this box? The answer is, I think about 27. 27 sovereigns, and 2 boxes, each with roughly 26 or 27 sovereigns in. So you can see just in terms of sheer quantity what an avid collector this particular Silver Forum member is. I hope you guys are still with me and watching this amazing collection of sovereigns unfold before your eyes. This video is kind of getting to be almost as long as one of Shadow Stack's. I didn't mean to make it that long, but it just took that long to unbox the box of sovereigns. There was so much here, really. Should you buy sovereigns? I've covered that in so many other videos. I think that you guys are probably starting to see just how interesting sovereigns are. Regal Stacker made a video which you should go and watch about the 5 sovereign piece, because I think he's very much of the opinion that the 5. I mean, look at the mirror-like fields on that. That is so nice. It's not a proof, but it must have been one of the first ones produced with a set of dies, giving it a kind of mirror-like finish on the fields. So what I was saying is go and take a look at Regal Stacker's video, which he's got a couple of new PF75 sovereign pieces that he picked up at the London Coin Fair. And I mean, they're really nice coins, and I think that he does make the point that they are particularly good value for what they are compared to sovereigns, and that they have great presence. So I'm totally with him on that, and I think that both 2 sovereign coins and 5 sovereign coins are both typically fairly undervalued and under-collected, and if you're looking for somewhere to focus, I think both of those make actually a pretty good focus to a sovereign collection, because most sovereign collectors are a little bit dull in the sense that they collect sovereigns, and they just collect that one sovereign format apart from a few halves. So a lot of the time the larger sovereigns get overlooked. So 1890 St George, 1889 Melbourne. These are all the Jubilee head sovereigns, I think. Yeah, there's another Jubilee head sovereign. They're quite nice, really, and a lot of the Jubilee head sovereigns are in good condition. It's much easier to find Jubilee sovereigns in good condition than it is the earlier ones. So I hope you guys are still with me, and as we reach the end of this part 1 of the video, part 2 is probably not quite as long, but bordering. So before you watch part 2, go and get a nice cup of tea, put your feet up, relax, and get ready for the long haul in terms of sovereign and gold watching. Let me know what you guys think, and please like. If you're not already subscribing, please do subscribe so you can get a notification when there are new Numistacker videos.